crazy. Sorry about the fan, guys. Let me kind of turn this fan a little bit off of me. So what's going on, everybody? Got the channel open. Welcome. This is gonna be a direct stream. If you notice, all of the actual stuff that I have on the banners and displays, all of it's off because I'm really just going to be talking to you guys about something very important. It's about my Twin Galaxies dispute, the dispute made against me. And in this, I'm going to go over literally what the dispute is in a nutshell, so that you guys can get the total reality behind it. And not from my point of view, but literally from Twin Galaxies' point of view. When I say Twin Galaxies, I don't mean the actual organization because they haven't made no decision yet. I'm talking about Twin Galaxies in terms of their community and how their community sees me, and how the community sees me and my record that I've done. At the end of this, it'll leave you guys with a question, very simple question, and you guys can determine whether or not the dispute is valid or not, or whatever the case may be, and some other things. But I'm going to reveal to you guys some information that no one talks about. Let's get to it. So here is the Twin Galaxies actual thread. Thank you for the subscription who did that, but right now I'm getting on to the case. So in order to make this straightforward and not me ranting for 2 to 3 hours or whatever to argue my case, I decided to sit down for 2 to 3 hours and look at Twin Galaxies and sum up the entire case for what it actually is. So here you're looking at, this is the first post that was made, right? I'm going to read it. It's I call it Game Over. And the guy that actually, I think his name is Decidius. Yes, Decidius. He makes a post. And his post says, Trifarce, which is insulting me by my name. Final response to this. Final response is coming. Better stay tuned. This is his final response. Seriously, truly final. Maybe. Stay tuned. So this is funny for them. Which, this is my final response. I'm never going back into the forum. I don't care what they ask me. I believe that the entire case is pretty much already over. So before I go into this, I preface the actual case by saying, I really thought about making a video, etc. But all that will happen is that people will take anything I say, misinterpret it towards the facts. Being that I said a while ago, I'm done with the dispute, but it spilled onto YouTube, my Discord, Facebook, and other social media platforms. I returned with testimony from the former administration. However, I'm tired of this whole thing completely. Few words, to the point. I'm presenting the timeline of the facts. So the first thing that comes up is I'm accused of leeching. So let's take a look at the accusation, what the actual accusation is. 1 second. So here we go. Contra 3, normal difficulties, no continues or codes permitted. Special rules, excessive leeching will result in your score being disqualified. They're bringing this up, Triforce Johnson. Some people say they don't want to call me Triforce, but that's my legal name, so whatever. They show my score, rank number 1. The person who's disputing it is a gentleman called Snowflake. He says the score was already discussed in an old Twin Galaxies thread, I guess. I'm just moving this argument and discussion to centralized location. Note that the old discussion was around whether 5 million points is possible without leeching, and this score doubles that. So, and then they post the link. So that's the actual first accusation, so to speak. Pause for 1 second, guys. Pause for 1 second. I'm sorry about this short thing. I should have closed the door. The baby is so loud in the background. So that was the first thing that was accused for leeching, and they posted it. So remember, everyone, remember, I was accused for leeching. It's very important you remember this first statement that I made here. It's important. We'll get back to that. So number two is an example of the leeching that they're accusing me of. They're literally accusing me of the leeching, and they're saying, this is what you actually did, Triforce, to get the score. I'm going to play the video for you guys, and I want you guys to take a look and tell me your thoughts. All right, let's go to it.
All right, I'm going to show you guys how to get 30 lives on Contra 3 for the Super Nintendo without the bullshit. And that means I'm going to tell you quickly. Get to the third level on this guy right here. Machine gun. Stand in the left corner. And fire. And how do I got that happen without holding it? It's going to take you about 40 minutes, maybe an hour. But not a big deal. Just get here. Fire the machine gun. And you can see what I've done. I've put something on the fire button. And I'm just letting it sit. And once you got 30 guys, then you could probably beat the whole game. If you can't, you suck. If you can, good job. Hit the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching. That's about it. Contra 3, real easy.
Because your body makes milk when you
say thank you for watching, boo boos.
Thank you for watching.
So, as you guys can see, that's the strategy for getting lives. And I'll explain it here. I'll just read it here. Here's a technique you can use to get 29 extra lives and mega points. No turbo button is used, just a heavy object holding down the fire button. 40 minutes to max out your lives. Is this the tactic Triforce used by Triforce? So they want to know if this is the tactic I used. Only he can answer that. Is it leeching? I believe it is. I actually agree. It is leeching. That's definitely leeching. And here's the reason why it's leeching. He's doing no damage to that mini boss, so there's no forward progression. He is not even attending the game, nor is his life in danger. If you stand to the corner like that, you can't die. Those 3 rules being broken, that's what makes it leeching. Keep that in mind. It's very important. The jurors are instructed, this is what I'm finishing what he says. The jurors are instructed to watch the video and discuss amongst themselves. We are now adjourned for a 60-minute break. He's playing stupid. He's being dumb now. So let's go to number 3. I completely reject and refute the accusation of using the example shown. So here I quote myself right here, quoting myself, originally posted by Triforce. No, I did not use that tactic. The tactic shown in the video is leeching. The character is standing still. You can walk away from the game and your life is in no danger while you're gaining lives. The mini boss is not dying, thus no forward progression. Number 4, I'm then asked to show what my secret strategy is. So the gentleman's name is Data God. He says, can you confirm that the tactic you used was not considered leeching at the time and is still not considered leeching by any subsequent rule change? Also, can you give a reason why you're not willing to share this tactic with your fellow gamers? Let me make this thing, I need to make one thing clear. It's very funny that he actually wrote that. I don't have any friends on TG. The Twin Galaxies community does not like me, does not like Billy Mitchell, some of them don't even like Walter Day. They don't like Todd Rogers. I'm on a hit list of people that they want to get rid of. So I don't have any friends. Any friends I have, it's not on Twin Galaxies. It's in social media. I contact them in social media. I may know a few people, associates or so forth, but I only have enemies and associates on Twin Galaxies. I don't have friends. I would never contact my friend on Twin Galaxies. I would contact my friend in real life through a actual social media platform. I'm not going to Twin Galaxies to go contact my friend. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. So, I'm given an ultimatum. That's the 5th point here. And it's by Data God again. And this is what he says. Do the right thing, Triforce. Show your tactic or admit your guilt. Be a real leader for your team. Be a man. Interesting, right? All right. Point number 6. Twin Galaxies steps in to inform everyone about secret strategies. So the David Hawksett is the head custodian of Twin Galaxies. He's now the new head custodian of Twin Galaxies. I don't know if it's position as commissioner, um, if he still has it or he doesn't. I don't know if he's the head custodian and commissioner or he's just the head custodian and someone else is the commissioner. But he's the, I'm just going to say this just to try to be fair. He's the former commissioner of Twin Galaxies and now the head custodian for Twin Galaxies. He says, at the risk of repeating myself, disputes either result in the removal of a score or stay open indefinitely. This applies equally across all scores. I will use this opportunity for a friendly reminder that secret techniques in scores which predate the Twin Galaxies, I don't know what SAT means. I don't even use the new Twin Galaxy system, to be very honest with you, but it's pretty much a new Twin Galaxy system, are not required to be revealed. So I don't have to show any secret techniques to the new administration. So says the authority of Twin Galaxies, David Hawksett. Of course, it would be useful as well as interesting if there were, but disputes must not be used as a means of discovering these techniques, meaning people shouldn't be threatening me using the dispute for me to give out my secret techniques on how I got my scores. So says Twin Galaxies. I'm not making that up. You guys can see it for yourself. Let's move on. Number 7, I'm accused that there is no secret strategy. So, this is the funny part. They're saying that I'm lying. There is no secret strategy. I'm just making it up. And I'm like, okay, well, you'd have to prove that I'm making it up by finding out if there is no secret strategy, which they actually try to do. Let's take a look. So he says, there is no secret technique. This is leeching, plain and simple. One second, guys. There's a big truck passing by. Let me let it pass by. All right. So he says, there is no special technique. It is leeching, plain and simple. The game has already been analyzed. Speedrunners and other experts' videos have been viewed. Nobody non-leeched effort comes close to 1 million, let alone 10 million. Completing the game on hard with no lives lost takes 30 minutes and yields 500,000 points. Getting 20 times that in a score in 4 hours is the very definition of leeching. Now, this is the funny part. I never stated how long I played the game, but he just puts 4 hours there. That's called manipulating the information. But let's continue. So he says, Triforce, could you show your technique to Dave Hawksett? And could you be the final? And he's asking Dave Hawksett, could you be the final judge? I'm positive he won't be open to that because there is no secret technique. Let me read this for you one more time. I'm going to read it for you guys one more time. David Hawksett, could you be the final judge? I'm positive he won't be open to that because there is no secret technique. One more time, people. There is no secret technique. Okay. Now, moving forward, I actually took his advice. So I hit up David Hawksett because I was like, he's the authority in Twin Galaxies. He works for Twin Galaxies. I'll inform him, but I'm not informing them. Who are they? Like, they're not adjudicators. They're not refs, stockholders, investors. No, they don't know. They're quote unquote my peers. So I don't have to tell them anything. In fact, David Hawksett earlier said I don't have to. See, right here. I don't have to tell anyone anything. So I don't have to explain anything to him. But I felt that David Hawksett's the authority. I'll let him know. Because at least I know he'll keep it confidential because they're the only ones who really need to know because they're the ones who determine anything. Just like the administration back then that determined my strategy was legal. Moving forward. So I said, I actually take the advice to explain to David Hawksett the strategy that I used was a secret and that it was approved by the prior Twin Galaxies administration after going through its due diligence. So, for those who are wondering, due diligence. So I had a ref my game. It was up to the ref, stupid here. It was up to the ref to determine whether or not my strategy was actually legal. Because when I did it, I didn't know whether, I said, is this strategy legal? So what I have to do is I have to have some type of forward progression. So I have to somehow kill the boss as slowly as possible so I can get to activate these eyeballs or whatever the case may be and destroy them because they give you a lot. They give you the most points in the game, right? And survive it without dying. There's a part later on where I'll explain to you guys thing about the bomb. They go, oh, well, it's easy for anyone. That was it's subjective. Some people can't even get off the second stage of Contra 3. So how can you say it's easy? Like it's easy for you. That doesn't mean it's easy for everyone. But they put that in there to change the narrative. Oh, it's easy. No, easy is holding down a button and not doing anything. Dodging eyeballs all the time and shooting them to get points while doing minimal damage to the boss is difficult. And you can die. Or you don't have to die. You could just use the bombs. If you use the bombs, it'll blow up the eyeballs. Yeah, but then I'm hurting the boss and I'm killing him too fast. And if I'm killing him too fast, then I can't point press. Ah, but you don't mention that. We'll get back to that later. Let's get back to this on the side. So then so the due diligence part is where the refereed what my strategy was, brought it to the Twin Galaxies administration, explained it to them, and that what the strategy was. It got approved, but it reached all the way to Walter. When Walter was informed, he was informed the same thing in which the referee witnessed in terms of the strategy, and then he came to understand that that's what it is. I eventually end up speaking to Walter to give him a little bit more details on what I knew the strategy was at the time, because there's things now coming out about the strategy that I never even knew in terms of like the boss, because now you guys have these new resources that shows you the boss's life and all this other stuff that we didn't have that back then. And to be honest with you, I don't go breaking games open like that to go find out stuff, whatever the case may be. In fact, it's not even my strategy. I found a strategy for someone else, and I was just the first person to implement it into Twin Galaxies. So the ideal here is to make sure that strategy is legal. It went through the due diligence process, and it came back down, and it came back down as the strategy is legal. And I was like, yes! And that's how my score got into the system. Point number 9. At the same time, the ref is now accused of corruption and collusion because the tactic got approved. That's crazy. So because the tactic got approved, the ref is corrupt and he's colluding with Triforce. They're accusing a Twin Galaxies ref. Now, I'm not saying Twin Galaxies refs, all of the refs, are infallible and that they haven't done things bad or whatever the case may be. The point I'm trying to say is that with absolutely no evidence, strictly based on conjecture and assertion, because they can't see the evidence, because they weren't there at the time, and because I have the max score, the ref cheated. The ref colluded with me. The ref is corrupt. Instantaneously. Okay, let's keep it going. Moving the goalposts since they cannot prove that it's a leeching strategy. So guess what these guys then do? They then now, right? This is their statement on this. He relied on his friend and roommate referee Lance to give his blessings to his score, which that's not true because Lance had to go to the staff or whoever Lance actually went to for it to even got to Walter for them to approve it. But according to him, Lance gave the blessing. Okay. So he says, not one point has been refuted. Not one question has been answered. This is the very definition of corruption and collusion. So now he's making his point that this is corruption and collusion outright. Do we have to hire Ben to build a Contra 3 machine? Foolishness. Moving on, point 10. Then they harass myself and the actual ref accused of collusion and corruption outside of the dispute. Now, a lot of you guys in Twin Galaxies, a lot of you guys watching this don't have Twin Galaxies account, which is why I'm making this video. I want to show you guys what's actually going on inside Twin Galaxies, because if you don't have an account, you won't be able to see it. So I want to show you the stuff written, what's actually said, and so forth. So there's a harassing in one of the adjudication posts. An adjudication post is where you submit a record. They literally go in there and harass my former ref who adjudicated my score and told him that he needs to come in and explain to them. I don't know why, but he has to. Whatever. Then I make a personal post on my wall talking about me feeding the homeless and all this other stuff, and that I need to come into the Contra 3 forum and defend myself, or else this. And I'm telling them, this is my wall post. This is not the dispute thread. Please go back to the dispute thread and keep it there. Stop coming on my wall. Then they make a video for Meme Troll, and then they go on websites like R Kappa and Reddit, etc., etc. The reason why you see Twin Galaxies in all of these, because they actually post these in Twin Galaxies. That's the crazy part. So they post their harassment of me, literally for everyone to see. And the funny part about it, you would think people say, all right, guys, look, keep it strictly to the actual record and let's not go personal. Nope, they joined in on it because it's funny for them. All right, point number 11. Players try out the game to see. Players try out the game. Players try out the game to see if they can get the score, and they use leeching tactics and claim there's no way other than the abuse of leeching to get the score in an unreasonable amount of time. So here's Star Crystals, Christas. He says, I did I don't even know what it is. I did a playthrough of this game, doing bits of leeching here and there, and managed to get 755,000 points in the game on the first loop on normal, as the rules stated. There might have been bonuses I missed because this was my first time. I beat the game. I'm not seeing 999 being done here. So Data God says, to sum it up, no other score even comes close without using well-known leeching tactics, which is the video you saw earlier about. Those are leeching tactics. Triforce had his very own referee roommate friend that said everything was on the up and up. Triforce is not willing to defend himself in any way other than throw accusations, which is funny because Twin Galaxy says I don't have to defend myself. So I don't know why that's even a point, because I don't have to defend myself. Okay, going up furthermore. So the referee roommate, Lance, has not made a comment to explain what went down. This is what I'm talking about. Why does Lance have to explain anything? Like, are they literally ignoring what the Twin Galaxies administration said? We don't have to explain anything. Why you keep using it as the point? They literally said it. You guys seen it for yourself right here. We don't have to explain anything. They are accusing they're disputing people's score. It is up to them to find the scientific evidence. We don't have to provide anything. Let me remain calm. Getting back. So, number 5. Triforce does not want to reveal a secret that he says isn't a secret anyway because somebody else did it before him. All right. Triforce would rather take the high road and not comment, even to save his own score. Triforce refuses to show Twin Galaxies officials his strategy, even if nobody else would learn it. But how does he know whether or not I spoke to David Hawkset about the strategy? How does he know I didn't give him a full detailed strategy of my score? How does he know the ref didn't tell David Hawkset what the strategy is? How does he know? How does he know? He doesn't. He just writes it. And when people read it, they just take it as fact. But he doesn't know. He just wrote it. There's going to be more just people just writing stuff without any type of you'll see. So, in my esteemed opinion, Triforce broke the rules for leeching, but had his buddy cover it up for him. Remove this score at once. Wow. Commands. All right. So Star Krista says Contra 3 experts say this has to be a leech score, which according to them would take days or a very long time. Hold on. This is so important here, guys. This is so important. This is very important. Contra experts. The experts said it would take days. You guys think I'm lying? Let's put proof to the screen again. Contra 3 experts says This has to be a leech scores, which according to them would take days or at least a very long time. Now, when we take that and we look at that, these are the experts. They said days or a very long time. If we're going to say days and then we say very long time, then it's anywhere from 24 hours to 48 hours. Days with an S is plural. So this would be 2 days, 48 hours, 48. This is where they're standing right now. This is their post. You've seen it for yourself. Based on the experts, which they're pretty much saying, I'm not an expert. Okay. It's very important to know that. I came to the conclusion that this is leeching based on my own playthrough and watching some long plays. This doubles the accepted possibility of a 5 million score, which means excessive leeching had to been done. So according to the experts, days or a very long time, only way to get 5 million, let alone 10 million. That's what they are saying. So I go, Contra 3 experts say, yeah. Number 12. Even a former complainant comes forward about his true feelings regarding myself and the ref and the score. However, in that, he reveals the secret strategy that I was accused of never existing. So the goalpost is moved again from I use A, strategy in leeching, to B, which they never knew anything about, to it being leeching. Why? Because they said so? Not Twin Galaxies? Like, what? So he goes on to say, I'm happy to see a dispute thread opened up for this, but don't really look forward to the inevitable 100 plus pages that fill in. The guy's name is PJ. Just let me show you guys, highlight this for you guys to see. His name is PJ, right? I'm going to open up by saying that I didn't read beyond the first page of this. Let me repeat that again. I really didn't read beyond the first page of this. PJ, you should have read beyond the first page of it. So he goes, mostly because I don't have the patience, but also because I probably end up getting mad and don't care to have my mood soured over an invalid score. Oh, okay. If I am repeating any information, I apologize. I am really only getting involved because of my first-hand experience with this particular score and because I was informed that I was being name dropped in favor of the score, which which is decidedly not the case. Okay. In short, now remember, this score is about the 5 million, let alone 10. Okay. In short, this score is not valid and leached for over 2 hours. On the final boss, in particular, Triforce farmed the eyeball phase of the brain boss because they spawn indefinitely and award a high amount of points. So let me break down this part for you guys about its spawning. Anyone who's played Contra 3, the eyeballs don't spawn. You have to, the boss is the brain in the middle, and he has this rotating, circling amount of different weapons that he can use to attack you. You have to aim and shoot the eye, and then the boss attacks you with those eyes. You have to choose what the boss is going to attack you with. So when he says respawn, respawn is something that happens in the game no matter what you do. You could be standing there doing nothing, and the enemy spawns. I have to do something for the eyes to activate, or the spikes, or the brains, or the shield, or the black snake, or the blue balls, or the surrounding shield around me. There's like 7, 8, I can't even remember, many different ways to die. It's like literally choose which way you're gonna die, right? So I have to select the eyeball. It spins, it goes, stop. Well, it doesn't stop. It's like kind of slows down and then go around, and then you have to shoot it real quick. And if you select the eyeball, bam, you get the eyeballs. Then now you have to shoot the eyeballs now and destroy the eyeballs, dodge some of the eyeballs. You can't use your, well, you can use your bomb. You can use whatever gun you want, but if you use any strong weapons, you may actually over damage the boss while doing it. Killing the boss fast, and if you're killing the boss fast, well, then you can't point press the eyeballs. That's the strategy. You just got to keep repeating that. But your life is at jeopardy. Can you stand in a corner and the eyes just come and you just shoot the eyes and nothing happens to you? No, you'll die. The eyes are going to jump over your head and shoot down on you. Can you leave your game unattended? No, you'll die. Is this a phase that you're fighting the boss? Yeah, so it's forward progression. The boss is actually dying. They even say after 8 cycles, no, during 8 cycles, the boss is actually dying. I didn't know that it stopped, the death of the boss in terms of his life stops after 8 cycles. But it doesn't make a difference because I was shooting the boss anyway. I just wasn't hitting the boss with any powerful weapons. Why would I want to do that? That would kill the boss quickly. I'm trying to point press. So they even show a video of them using the laser. I'm sitting there like, why are you using the laser? That's like one of the most powerful guns in the game. You trying to kill the boss fast? Like, are you point pressing or are you trying to kill the boss? Which one? But whatever. So let's go back to the guy's statement, right? So he says, Triforce and I actually had a conversation when he went back. I'm going to skip this part. I'm going to leave it here, right? So you guys can read it. But I'm going to skip reading it. I'm going to tell you why. Because this is hearsay. He said he had a conversation with me on AOL saying I admitted that it's leeching. That is actually not true. My story of it is more consistent because you have his story, my story, and then you have the truth. My story is I wanted to find out if the score was legal, which is why it had to go from the ref to the administration to which eventually got to Walter for them to make the determination. So this thing about me having a conversation with him, admitting it to me, that's his side of the story. Whatever. So in the end, he says, score is not possible without leeching. He knew it wasn't possible without leeching, went ahead and maxed it out with leeching, had Lance verify it despite him not being a Super Nintendo ref, and planned to have the track grandfathered. Everything about the score is invalid. Now, let's go in that last sentence, right? The score is possible without leeching because I didn't do that tactic that they claim to be leeching. What is leeching again? Let's take a look at their example of what leeching was, right?
That happened without holding it. It's going to take you about 40 minutes, maybe an hour.
That's
not
leeching,
a big deal. Just
right?
get here, fire the machine gun.
Wait, hold on. Let's go back so you can see.
On this guy right here, machine gun.
This is what they accuse me of
in the
leeching.
left corner and fire. And
They literally accused me of leeching. That's what they said was leeching originally. See, they didn't know about the actual strategy.
Fire the machine.
And because they didn't know about the actual strategy, they thought that was the only way to leech the game. That's how they saw it. That's it. That's the only way. That's leeching. But it's now being stated by PJ here that there's actually a strategy that he considers leeching. And that's fine. I have no problems with people having their opinion on what they think leeching or leeching isn't. The question here is, did Twin Galaxies come to the determination if it was leeching or not? Let's get to that. So he says Lance verified the score. Yes, he was my adjudicating referee. He verified the score. But he had to get that strategy passed by the TG admin that he went to, which eventually got to Walter. Right? They say Lance was not even a Super Nintendo ref. So they're saying that Lance wasn't even legally supposed to even referee me. So I guess that's where the collusion and the corruption comes from. Very important for you guys to take a look at, to keep on to this. So let's move forward. Number 13. However, this same PJ guy who wrote all of this year, all about this. He wrote all of this about me regarding the score, me, and Lance. See what he's saying? Score is not possible without leeching. He knew it. It wasn't possible. He went ahead and maxed out his score with leeching. Had Lance verify it despite not being a Super Nintendo ref, and he planned to have the track grandfathered. Everything about this is invalid. Oh, so that's how you feel today. Stream. This is how he felt about me, Lance, and the score 10 years ago. He says, quoting me, anyways, I don't think the score is impossible. So he's, well, no, this is him quoting himself. Crap. Not sure if this is what Triforce did. He's talking about the brain boss strategy. But there is a legal tactic out there that can net this many points. Smiley face. So he knows there's a legal tactic out there that can net the points. And we know what me and him know the strategy. So he says it here that it's legal, right? There's a legal tactic out there that can net the points. So he goes on to say, I suppose the statement could be a bit ambiguous. I never said you cheated, meaning me. You never said I cheated. I don't think your score is impossible, but okay. I don't know even if this was your strategy or not. And I dropped my case because I proved to myself that it can be done. I have no beef with you or Lance. Anyway, I'll see if I can get a hold of Scott and Kelly and ask them about the strat. So he was going to go ask a ref of his own if that strategy was legal. But I'm the one who did the strategy. I'm not going to wait for him to go ask. I'm going to go ask myself. So that's what Lance did. So he did his due diligence and I did his due diligence. But there's a problem here. 10 years ago, he said it was okay. He doesn't have any beef with me. He doesn't think I cheated. He thinks there's a legal tactic to it. All of that. But then 10 years later, he doesn't. And this is why, PJ, you should have read the first page, because then you would have read what you said 10 years ago before you wrote that foolishness. Anyway. So, number 14. We're almost done, guys. We're at the halfway mark. He also did not take into consideration that I did my own due diligence, which I just said not too long ago, and asked the ref at the time if he could see if the strategy was legal. It was at this time it was used, so I had to wait and see if they considered it leeching or point pressing. It was determined that it was point pressing. The problem here is that PJ didn't know that I did my own due diligence. He assumed, like many here in this witch hunt, that the ref was corrupt and colluded with me, which we'll be revisiting that again later on in this post. Number 15. After much assertion, conjecture, suggestions, implications, outright demands to have my score removed and me banned from Twin Galaxies, and here are some of them. The only thing we should be further discussing is taking out the trash. This attachment I can't show you guys because it's in another person's post, and when you click it, let me try to click it. Let me click it here. Oh, it shows you. Excellent, excellent. Come on, load. Site's going crazy right now, right? The ban hammer is thirsty for blood. So they want to ban me, right? All right, no problem. No problem, right? So let's go to this other guy. This is Data God. Talk about corruption and collusion. Thank you, PJ, for coming forward with your story. It is shameful what Triforce and Lance have done. So now, right there, it is shameful what Lance and Triforce has done. In his mind, absolutely, with absolute no regard to anything, we're guilty for corruption and collusion. Hands down. That's what he sees in it. So let's read the rest of his posts. They made a mockery out of Twin Galaxies and deserve to have all their scores removed. So now he wants even Lance's scores removed as well for corruption collusion. Twin Galaxies may have used to be the home for cheaters back then in the day. So now he's disrespecting the legacy of Twin Galaxies by calling Twin Galaxies the home of cheaters. Kick these bums out. Let's check out what his attachment is. It's loading. I don't know why it's loading this slow, because I'm streaming to you guys. Oh, because I'm streaming. That's why. So look, ban, Kong, ban me, right? Which is, I guess he's trying to insult Billy Mitchell as well. So yeah, there you go. So yeah, let's go. Let's move on. Let's move on from that. So then this guy, Decidius, says, now can we ban this? And he curses at me for corruption and collusion. So now now it's corruption and collusion. It's not even leeching anymore. That's what it is. No one even cares for his blog posts anyway. His TG time is over and good riddance. We don't need this kind of crap sullying the name of TG anymore. All right. So number 16. They released the hounds on me. Now, I had to skip this part, guys, because I would have to... The amount of posts that they've made where the hounds come on me, it's kind of like ridiculous. So I say... I would quote them, but it's too much. Just go back. For those who have Twin Galaxies accounts, go through the post and you can pick whichever like actual post that they're making about me, insulting me and all this other stuff. So then they also released the spies, right? here they find that I've been speaking to the current Twin Galaxies administration about the dispute. I'm also accused of bribery because I tried to tip a ref for his hard work for adjudicating scores and state its bribes and or payoffs. Unfortunately for the ref who had to get permission to even accept my tip, because I said I'm going to send you a tip, he said I don't know if I can take the tips. I'll have to ask Twin Galaxies. So he went out and asked them. This part they did not get, right? So when they found out, they didn't want him taking any tips because it would set a bad precedence that, oh, if you're taking tips for people for adjudicating scores, then it's in a sense kind of be looked on unethically. Because this should be known, it's in the Twin King of Kong movie or whatever, the refs don't get paid for their work. And a lot of the refs was complaining, oh my God, you know how much records I have to do, all this other stuff, and blah, blah, blah. There are a lot of records. Robert Merchek states he had a lot of records he had to put in. A lot of it. If you don't believe me, go watch his last interview with Tipster, where he's on there. He's like, there's so many records he had to do. He literally talks out the numbers to the point where he had to input his own scores. He literally says that himself. You can go and directly see. So I kind of sympathize that, these refs are putting in a lot of records. So this guy, and this funny thing is, I will never say this ref's name because I want them to accuse every single ref under the sun until they get it all wrong. And at the 11th hour, I go, oh, it was that ref. And then they go, oh. And they go, yeah, just making stuff up, right? Yeah, I know. That's what you guys do. Anyway, going back to this thing. So they denied him, right? Where am I here? To get the permission to accept the tips, and was denied as Twin Galaxies didn't want to give the wrong impression or a trend of tipping refs. Well, I should have put to start. But hey, let's make it more than what it is. Have to demonize me, you know? So anyway, Data God goes on and says, according to his email box that he streamed last night to the entire world, he's definitely having a conversation with Twin Galaxies, which he said I would never have a conversation. Remember that, guys? Remember he said I would not even speak to Dave Hawkset? He said that. Walter, Lance, etc. I bet they are not sharing brownie recipes. Also, during this very stream, he admitted to paying the off refs. I admitted to wanting to tip a ref. I may have misspoke on, I actually just said I was trying to tip a ref, and it was like, it's not, I can't do that. I don't know, I'm paraphrasing. You guys can go look back and see exactly what it is I was saying. The point here is, I never got to tip the ref because they said no. But that is an entire different thing. So I'm waiting for when they make a dispute about that. Oh, Triforce is tipping refs. Make that a whole other case of its own. Please bring it. You guys will bring that, and then 11th hour you get hit with some stupid information and you look stupid. So then he goes on, that's right, folks. He admitted to giving referee money in exchange for adjudicating scores. That's BS. I was trying to tip the ref for his work for doing all those scores. Not all my scores, all of those scores. But they want to change the narrative. He calls them tips. I call them bribes and payoffs. That's fine. You can have your narrative. I'll have mine. The truth will reveal itself. Remember, your story, my story, and then at the end of the day, there's the truth. So this guy actually posts my email settings literally on Twin Galaxies, which is crazy. Like my man literally copied my information and posted on a public forum, which his argument is going to be, oh, well, you're the one who showed it on stream or whatever, but you didn't get my permission to post it on Twin Galaxies. And that's fine. Wait, it's not going to load? Hold on for a second, guys. I'm giving this a chance to load. It may be too big to load while I'm streaming. I'll give it an extra 30 seconds and see if it loads. If it doesn't load, I guess you guys will just have to take my word for it. Or if you're on Twin Galaxies, you can check the forums and you can see for yourself. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so here it is. Yeah. So there you go, right there. You see me? It says me, Walter, me, Lance, right? And we're all conversating with Dave Hawkset in there. And we're explaining to Dave Hawkset, you know, as you can see in the first part of the letter, dear David, hope you're doing well during the 2008-2000 period. Lance was a... Uh-oh. That means someone's writing something. What's going on here? So they knew we was talking about something, but don't worry. What was it? What was in that email, ladies and gentlemen? Just want you guys to know. What was in that email is in this video and the thread. We actually posted. We weren't hiding it. We were just having our private conversation. That's it. Just like they have their private conversation, whoever's trying to get me banned from Twin Galaxies, I don't go, oh, why are you having your private conversation? Tell us. What? Who does that? Whatever. Anyway, let's get back to the post, right? So 18. Someone actually redoes the secret strategy. The secret strategy that was never that was stated to never exist. So then here's this guy. His name is he says, okay, I found this guy's video which shows the max out score being done on Contra 3, which was done in 1 hour 36 minutes and 6 seconds as of the time his score run. 1 hour 36 minutes. 1 hour 36 minutes. I'm going to be belligerent here. 1 hour 36 minutes. 1 hour 36 minutes. I'm going to go scroll up. Contra experts say this has to be a leech score, which according to them would take days or at least a very long time. Contra 3 experts. But someone just did it on Twitch in 1 hour and 36 minutes. Number 19. Now that the secret's out, I thought there never was one. Anyway, Twin Galaxies seeks out the opinion from its community on whether or not it should be considered leeching. Right? So here's Twin Galaxies, David Hawksett. He says, now that the technique is public, which to be honest, just to let you guys know, David Hawksett knew the technique was already knew about the technique because I explained it to him already. But now that it is public by someone else, because I wasn't going to explain it to these guys, please focus on whether this counts as leeching, point pressing, or excessive point pressing. Any further hurling of insults or repeated name calling will be met with heavy moderation. Now keep in mind, so remember when I said that they let the hounds out on me? That's what David Hawksett's talking about. Any further doesn't mean anyone who hurls insults, means insults were already hurled at me. Any further hurling of insults or repeated name calling will be met with heavy moderation. So he has to actually tell them, you guys are going to have to stop that. And like I said, I'm not going to put that dirty laundry out on the internet. Those who have Twin Galaxies account, you can go to the thread and go see what they said about me. Best part I love about Twin Galaxies today. This is the best part I love about Twin Galaxies today. Whatever you post never gets deleted. That's the best part of it all. So you guys can go and enjoy those comments that they left about me moving forward. And here we're coming to the closing, right? 20, the community weighs in. So I put 1 or 2 points that they weigh in. Fact. This is what they say is fact. Triforce used eyeball farming on the final boss and admitted, yeah, it's eyeball farming. That's point pressing. Eyeball farming. That's what I did. Literally, the one question that has to be answered is eyeball farming on the final boss leeching? Ah, such a very intelligent question. Because remember, guys, prior to them knowing about the secret technique, which never existed, they didn't know about the eyeball technique. So if you don't know about the eyeball technique, you can't determine whether or not it's leeching, which was my entire point from the beginning. The technique was already shown to the Twin Galaxies administration at the time when I did the record, and they deemed it to be point pressing, not leeching. So what you think about it now, that's fine. If you think it's leeching now, crap. If Twin Galaxies comes up and says, yeah, Triforce, based on our review of it, this new administration of Twin Galaxies deems this as leeching. Okay, no problem. We'll get to the solution to that in this, at the very end, but just keep that in mind, right? So then Julius says this was leeching, it's leeching. Oh, this is the crazy comment. I told you guys in the other post that I was going to show you this. He says it will always be leeching regardless of whether the referee, Walter or God himself says otherwise. I have to go to the YouTube chat for this one. Are you guys looking at this? He's saying that it was leeching. It doesn't matter if the ref says it wasn't. It doesn't matter if the founder of Twin Galaxies himself said so. Okay, he says he don't care about Walter, doesn't care about Lance. My man says he doesn't care if God said so. Now, I don't know about you people. My man said God. This is psychotic behavior. My man is saying that a being beyond our comprehension as mortals, even if this being says so, doesn't matter. It's leeching. That, you know what this means? They don't care whether it wasn't leeching or not, or what the determination was or not. They deem it to be leeching. And that's all that matters. Them, not Twin Galaxies. I just wanted to point that out to everybody. So let us continue. There's more, guys. We have like 8 more points going. I agree, this is leeching regardless of roommate, referee, or no longer former owner and or referee validation. Oh, wow. Let's just throw Walter's authority out of the window. All right, so I go. Clearly their opinion overrides the former administration. And, and God too. Almost forgot about that one. 21. With the cat out of the bag now, there is no reason to let this witch hunt go on anymore. Walter Day releases an official statement regarding the adjudication and determination of the strategy regarding the world record at the time. He grants me permission to post it on the forums. I repost this here in this final letter so that everyone can see while I'm streaming at the same time. This is what Walter Day says. To my knowledge, it is a historical fact that Lance Eustache was a duly authorized referee between 2008 and 2012. During that time, I was still involved in Twin Galaxies. I meaning Walter Day. I knew that Lance Eustache was a referee in good standings with Twin Galaxies administration and had permission to adjudicate Triforce's score. So remember that whole thing, guys, about Lance being an unofficial ref, illegal ref, corruption and collusion to referee my score? The former owner and founder of Twin Galaxies says it's legal. Yeah, they didn't see that coming. Let's read what else Walter has to say. I understand that Triforce Johnson has presented to Lance in detail his strategy used in Contra 3 that have led to his world record on Contra 3. Based on his explanation at the time, it was determined that he did not leech points during the game, but engaged in point pressing. So, what I presented to Lance presented to Twin Galaxies, and based on his explanation at the time, it was determined that I did not leech points during the game, but engage in point pressing. Upon my, meaning Walter, own personal review of his strategies, I agree that there was no leeching involved and am firmly in support of Triforce's strategy and applaud him for his deployment of the clever game-playing tactics that generated this world record. Warmest regards, Walter. So, Walter has spoken. They did their due diligence. They came into a determination that my score, or my strategy actually, was not leeching, but point pressing. I followed the rules of the time. I was refereed and adjudicated at that time, and then TG validated what the referee adjudicated after they did their own due diligence. I know some of my enemies are watching the stream right now. It's like, oh boy, you didn't think I know. That's why I didn't talk about this. I wanted these guys to come up with all this crazy stuff that they put out there, And then the 11th hour, you smack him in the face with this. Let's go back to the case. So, number 22. I don't know where this came from. Now they're worried Twin Galaxies is colluding with me. Yeah, guys. Because Walter posted out his posts, dudes is making suggestions that it is possible that Twin Galaxies, not then, today's Twin Galaxies, the new one right now, is colluding with me. Why do they feel entitled that to know what conversation I'm having with David Hawkset? Let's take a look at some of these guys' comments. Oh, it's the same guy. I quoted the same guy 2 times. I'm going to be clear with you, Dave. Oh man, this is the funny part. That's like you're a regular person who's coming into the courtroom and he's like, Judge, I'm gonna be clear with you, Judge. Even though you're in a position higher than me, and I just joined, I already said before, and even hearing about you, that I don't trust you. That's crazy. Why would you write that? Like, how do you come on Dave Hawkset's form and tell him, I don't trust you? Like, I guess he's bold. He just wants to express how he feels. I guess so, whatever. But like, I'm just like, okay. He goes on to say, I was told by 2 people that you were one of the people protecting Todd and Billy. While you have the right to respect noteworthy gamers, as a custodian, however, you shouldn't be biased towards anyone, regardless of how that click goes. So, I didn't have it on it. I want to make sure everything I'm reading to you guys, you see the words I'm reading. So let me say that again. I've already said before, even hearing about you, that I don't trust you. I was just told by 2 people that you were one of the people protecting Todd and Billy. While you have the right to respect noteworthy gamers, as a custodian, however, you shouldn't be biased towards anyone, regardless of how that click goes. I hope you remain unbiased. Okay, right? So he's suggesting that he's biased, but he hopes he remains unbiased. No problem. His next post is, I think you misunderstood. I'm not attacking Dave or derailing this dispute. I'm simply stating that I know and heard of some of the things he has said and done in private. The reason I brought him up was the fact that in one of his photos in his dispute, Triforce showed all of his emails to the public. One of those emails has Dave's name on it, in which makes this questionable. Because I'm writing an email to Dave? What? Okay. Those 2 photos show questionable possible collusion, even though it's just chatting. My brain stopped for a second. Because I wrote an email to David, it's possible collusion. This is the mindset of the people in the TG classic gaming scene community. So when you hear us go, well, these guys are crazy, we're not just saying it because we don't like them. You're seeing it for yourself. Their assertions and conjecture and suggestions and implications is all just based on them. They read something and they see something, they interpret it, and boom! And what they're saying is true immediately. Let's go back. So he put the 2 links, but I removed them because you already saw the email. What's going on in private, if you mind us asking? Why do they feel entitled that they need to know, or that they have any business to know? Did they not hear what Dave Hawkset says? I don't have to tell them anything. They're not getting this. Like, it's not making any sense. Like, it's like they're actually ignoring him. All right, let's get back. 23. The community disagrees with Walter's determination of my strategy. That part's the best part. The community is like, we don't agree with Walter, which they don't even agree if God said it, they don't agree with him. So it looks like God, nor Walter, nor the referee has any say on the strategy that I use, and they're not fit to determine whether or not it should be leeching or not. So yeah, but watch this. Um, with Walter's permission, I post his response to the forums. So this is Walter speaking back to the people in the forums who disagree with his determination, which I think is crazy that Walter has to explain himself to the future. A decision he made then, he has to explain to people today. Walter says, based on my many years of experience with adjudicating gameplay, in my opinion, I believe that the strategies described to me that are used by Triforce Johnson to collect points on the final boss stage are point pressing and not point leeching. Simply because the boss continues to challenge the player while he is gathering the points, and he continues to be a threat to kill the player. In just about every video game that I've seen that offers the gamer a point leeching opportunity, the player does not have to execute strategies in order to keep them from dying. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, when you're point leeching, you don't have to provide a strategy from dying, because you can just stand in a corner and hold a button or do a trick that you don't have to attend the game and you just rack up points. There is no strategy. That's why that's point leeching. But what I did is point pressing, because there's a strategy and a skill to it. Let us continue to go. In the case of Contra 3, final boss stage, however, the player is still in danger and must defend himself accordingly. Number 2. Also, it takes a reasonably good skill set for the gamer to execute this point pressing strategy in the final boss stage of Contra 3. Notice he keeps saying final boss, and there's a reason why. Because you can't advance in the game without beating the final boss. So in order for you to get your score, you have to beat the boss. To beat the boss means you're advancing in the game. Yeah. Anyway, number 3. The length of the gameplay is further challenging, and the gamer has to overcome, because as time goes on, he has to execute perfectly again and again in order to stay alive, all while getting more and more fatigue. This is how I view the situation. Hope this throws light on the situation or on the issue. Respectfully, I forgot to put in Walter, but it was respectfully Walter Day, right? So here's Walter explaining to these guys why he made the decision. Walter reasoning is still rejected. In fact, some of them feel that he should stay out of it, even though he and his referee administration adjudicated it. People, how are you going to tell a guy that made the organization stay out of something he was involved in? That's like, what is it? Oh, because he's a key. His testimony is powerful. What are you, the mob? You're going to whack him? Is that what that is? Walter, stay out of it, or we're going to come whack you. What is this, Sopranos? Who's you guys, Joe Pesci out here? What, Robert De Niro? What is this about? Anyway, so they go. Is there a reason Walter cannot come here and make the statement himself? In my opinion, I don't see why Walter would ever go into the forums. Anyway, Walter agreeing with something that is described to him is very different from Walter agreeing with something that was witnessed firsthand. Oh, really? Is that how that works? Okay. Glad you can tell the former owner and the founder of Twin Galaxies what he can or can't. Yeah. That's just stupid. While I don't think you're making up Walter's comments, it's hearsay being related by a biased party. Holy smokes. All right. That's fine. You can have your opinion that it's hearsay. It's okay. The only people that need to know is myself, Lance, Dave Hawkset, and Walter. That's it. So if you think it's hearsay, that's fine. So then Decidius goes on and says, I would prefer we leave Walter out of this train wreck travesty. That's the one thing I agree with Decidius about. This is most definitely a train wreck travesty. But yeah. And let him get on with doing things he actually loves. So this is them, I would call this, if I would stretch it, tampering with the witness. Let's go back to the points here. 25. One of Oh, okay. One of the members stated that they spoke with Walter regarding the Contra 3 score. However, without knowing why Walter asked him the series of questions regarding the game and the strategy that I used, he paraphrased the conversation and posted it on the forums without Walter's knowledge. The conversation conflicts with Walter's original post in the dispute. So the guy's data god, and this is what he said. This is the conversation he said he had with Walter. I was not going to mention this, but now it's supposed to be now, not. But now what Triforce is quoting Walter, I feel I must do the same. I spoke with Walter just the other evening, 2 nights ago, and he asked me about the game and if it was available on YouTube to watch the strategies, etc. Because as you guys all know, Walter wasn't the ref. Walter just was the deciding factor of whether or not my strategy was official based on what was explained to him by the ref and then eventually me and his administration. The questions he was asking me were very basic, and it was clear he did not have a good understanding of the game. Yeah, probably because he didn't play the game, but whatever. He asked if there was a timer during the final boss, if the screen scrolled, etc. When I made it clear there was no forward progression, he said, well, I guess that is clearly not point pressing then. Very interesting. I will have to learn more. But listen here. This is called coercion. He says, when I made it clear there was no forward progression, who are you to determine whether or not it was forward progression? So you're trying to coerce Walter there wasn't forward progression? That's just a question, Data God. Just putting that out there. Not like I care about your answer, because I will never listen to or talk to you or read any of your posts regarding this again. Just putting that out there. But Walter says, well, I guess that clearly is not point pressing then. Very interesting. I will have to learn more. So clearly there's more for Walter to learn. Data God goes on to say, he also made it clear that to the best of his knowledge, Lance was never in bad standing with Twin Galaxies, and that even though he, Walter, left by that time, people still kept him up to date with the what's going on. Really? But in Walter's post, timeout. Hold on, let me go back up here with Walter's post here. To my knowledge, it is a historical fact that Lance Eustache was a duly authorized ref between 2008 and 2012. During that time, I was still involved with Twin Galaxies. So Walter's comment states he was involved with Twin Galaxies. And then Data God says he also made it clear that Lance was never in bad standings with ref, and that even though he, Walter, had left at that time. So which one is it? Was he still here or did he left? Well, I'm going to go with what Walter wrote. Besides, if Walter left Twin Galaxies, I wonder how can someone who left Twin Galaxies sell it to somebody like Jace Hall in 2014. Interesting. Didn't know you didn't have to own something or not being involved in it to sell it. Good questions here. Anyway, let's read that statement again and move forward. He also made it clear that to the best of his knowledge, Lance was never in bad standing with Twin Galaxies, and that even though Walter had left by that time, people still kept him up to date with what's going on. Walter also said that this is the type of decision he hated being involved in because it always comes down to a difference of an opinion and interpretation of the rules. And this, ladies and gentlemen, that was posted there is their own killing blow. The interpretation of the rules. So, Walter has an opinion. They had to make a determination based on the interpretation of the rules at the time, and they came up with the decision that it was point pressing. So why is this dispute happening? Let's finish the rest of what he says, because there's more. Walter and I are good friends, very good friends. We talk mostly about science fiction, not video games. We desperately wants to move on and produce music and literature. Leave him out of the dispute. Tampering with the witness. They want to remove the star witness, the guy, his administration, his time, his ref. They want to remove him. All right. 26. And we are finally, no, and here we are, finally, the end to the madness. Walter makes his final reply to explain why he called William McAvoy, aka Data God. With Walter's permission, last night, I'm posting it to you, Dave Hawkset. As you said, evidence is only considered if posted in this forum. So here's what Walter Day had to say about William McAvoy posting his conversation with him on the phone without his permission. Oops. Across numerous decades, I had been called upon to adjudicate high scores and established rules of play for countless games. From Twin Galaxies' earliest days, I realized that the process of adjudicating scores and formulating rules would require input from many gamers. So I created Scoreboard Consultants in 1982, a group of expert gamers that would someday grow into the Board of Referees. When the rules for a game were being set, I would consult with different gamers to gain their points of views. This was part of the due diligence process and was needed to make the best decisions. So this was their due diligence process of their age or that administration. As William McAvoy said, we had a call together and I asked him many questions about Contra 3. Since there was still controversy regarding Triforce's game playing strategies, I wanted to see if there were any facts I had overlooked when I made my earlier statement in support of the tactic. I had never played the game and I felt that a round of due diligence would give me more information. So here's Walter Day doing due diligence again. Walter goes on to say, William McAvoy is a dear friend for many years, and I knew he was not in support of Triforce's strategies. Since I had personal matters that I needed to discuss with him, I decided to give him a call and also ask his opinion on Contra 3 strategies. I value his wisdom and his words carry weight with me, as he has expressed in his published posts, explaining the controversy from the point of view of the gamers who don't support Triforce's strategies. Asking William McAvoy for this point of view was an important part of the due diligence process. Funny thing is, Walter actually has no authority in Twin Galaxies today. As of 2014, when he sold the company, he's no longer ref. He literally is no longer involved, no nothing. But he's still doing due diligence. He's still showing unbiased. He's friends with William McAvoy and he's friends with me, and he got information from both of us. Just so he could do it one more time. Just so he can make sure that the original decision he made was not a wrong one. Finally, he says, I consider his advice on the lack of a timer and the fact that the screen didn't scroll, and also reflected back on what I have always known about point pressing and point leeching. However, based on the explanations and descriptions I have of the gameplay, I still firmly stand by my original decision that Triforce's strategy is point pressing. If the game has to constantly, if the gamer has to constantly defend himself against the boss and execute skill-based tactics to gather the points, this is point pressing. Respectfully, Walter Day. P.S. Please post this on the dispute page. I got permission from Walter, yet again, to post his comments. So the decision Walter made then, the decision Walter made now, based on all the information, he's standing by it. I followed the rules. I played the game. It was adjudicated and verified by a ref. Well, it was adjudicated by a ref. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was verified by a ref and adjudicated by Twin Galaxies administration. Let me repeat. I played the game. I followed the rules. My score was verified by a duly noted official Twin Galaxies ref with permission to referee my game. My score was adjudicated by Walter Day and the Twin Galaxies administration at the time. In closing, I want to thank Walter Day for doing his due diligence then and now. What this comes down to, if whether or not the community of Twin Galaxies deems a strategy determined by a former administration to be legal, i.e. or illegal, I should have put or illegal. The administration today operates differently than the administration of yesterday. You are free to give your take on it, however. No, you are free to give your take on it, however. That's supposed to be a comma. The fact remains, the strategy I performed when it was determined to be point pressing and not leeching. Most importantly, the rules at the time. If we can't agree with anything, me, the Twin Galaxies community, Walter, God, the ref, David Hawksett, the rules for the game says normal difficulty, no continues or codes permitted. Special rule, excessive leeching will result in your score being disqualified. Excessive leeching. This means if I just didn't even want to argue this, I could just say, yeah, I did leech. It was determined not to be excessive because you're allowed to leech. You just can't be excessive. Well, who determines if it's excessive or not? Twin Galaxies administration. The Twin Galaxies administration determined that it was not even leeching. And if it was leeching, they determined it wasn't excessive. Now, there's a big problem with this rule. This glaring rule sitting right there, which this rule actually kills the dispute from the very beginning. There is no dispute because of this rule. Because the rule is saying, well, it has to be determined by someone whether or not, if you're arguing someone's leeching, you have to then argue with who determined if it was leeching or not. Well, the creator and the founder and the CEO of Twin Galaxies is the one who determined it wasn't. He said so then, and then if you go, well, he said so then, where's your proof? Well, okay, forget about if you don't believe he said so then. He said so now, and he said so. He says he's standing with the decision he made then. So either way, let us go on and look at the rest of what I say now. Here in my closing statement here, people skip past the most important point of this dispute. Leeching is allowed, excessive leeching isn't. Thus it's up to Twin Galaxies to determine if it was or was not based on the referee, videotape, and or due diligence from its staff. Just as Twin Galaxies today is doing due diligence, except instead of using refs, they're using the community. And as you can see in both timelines, their system needs improving. Let me leave you all with this final point. Wilt Chamberlain stood in the paint. For those who don't know what the paint means, underneath the rim, there's usually a section. It's usually red or blue, depending on the court. It's different from the court, which is usually hardwood, right? Where you're standing underneath the rim. This is called the paint. Players used to come down and just pass Wilt Chamberlain the ball, and he would just turn around and put the ball into the hoop. It led to him scoring 50-point games and even to a world record of 100 points. There was no 3-second violation rule created at the time. At an undisclosed amount of time later, the NBA, with a new administration, created new rules to improve the competitive environment of the game, in which a 3-second violation rule was introduced. This stopped Wilt Chamberlain and any other center, for that matter, actually any other player, from standing in the paint for more than 3 seconds. I forgot to put that more than 3 seconds there. However, the new rule did not retroactively remove his accomplishment. In fact, no sport does this, and neither will classic esports. That's like saying, Nolan Ryan, I know you got a perfect no-hitter, but you played in an era which used this as a strike zone. But in 2018, we're going to now implement this new strike zone. So we're going to change the rules. And because we're changing the rules, we're going to have to take away your no-hitter game. That does not make sense. No one agrees with that foolishness. You can change the rules, but you cannot change time. And with that, make your decision on the strategy, but stop calling me a cheater and stop disrespecting the former Twin Galaxies referees, administration, and their decision back then. On that note, I'm done. I'm done with Twin Galaxies disputes. The Twin Galaxies dispute, in my opinion, is far more toxic than the Twin Galaxies problems that they had with their refs back then. I say this because when there was a problem with the Twin Galaxies refs, the knowledgeable refs, the administration, and the executive cabinet, or whatever you want to call them, they sat down and they discussed issues. They came to a conclusion. They made a decision. You don't have to like the decision, but they made a decision. It was clean. They didn't have a lot of transparency, but it was clean. Today's Twin Galaxies, in my opinion, has way too much transparency. People feel they're entitled to know what's exactly going on, and you're not entitled to know anything. This transparency, or this over-transparent, this excessive transparency has put the feces to hit the fan, and the fan has blown the feces all over the walls. It is creating witch hunts. It's out of hand. I will answer no more questions. I will stand by the Twin Galaxies verification and adjudication of my score within their system during their administration at the time, for my contra score and any other score in the database. That's my answer for any dispute that comes up after this one. You have a problem? Speak to the administration at the time. That is all. Thank you all for joining me in this 1.5 hour segment. I hope you guys leave your your thoughts. What do you guys think? Let me know. Do you think I cheated? Do you think I point pressed? Do you think I leached? Do you guys have an in-between somewhere? Do you now fully understand the whole thing now? And leave me your points. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you guys. I will see you guys later in one of our next streams or one of my vlogs that I put out. This entire thing has brought a lot of stress to me. I've lost 2.5 weeks of vlog time dealing with this issue. It's just been madness. I haven't uploaded any vlogs, nothing. It's just been craziness. So I see you guys later. Good night.